Testing 1, 2, 3. Come on in. Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And what's good, Black people? What's good? I hope you all are doing well. You don't like this wedding? That's our wedding picture.
I don't like it because I'm not. You're looking at the camera, but I'm not.
So
I'm not ready. I was just kind of like.
You look great in that picture. Woman, what is you talking about?
Okay, see, this is the problem. Don't argue with me. Just hear what I'm saying.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll just agree.
No, I didn't. I don't want you to agree. I want you to just try to understand where I'm coming from.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I agree with you.
I just want you to hear me. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I hear you.
Ask more questions if you need clarification.
I think you look gorgeous, and I'm not gonna accept the idea that you're anything less than absolutely beautiful in that picture.
Well, like, ask me a question. Say, Alicia, what do you mean? And I'll say, okay, well, number one, I'm not looking in the camera. And number two, I'm not really smiling. And number three, I'm caught off guard.
Okay.
So that's just, you don't agree with me. It's okay.
So Boyce has been officially shut
down. No, I'm not trying to shut you down. I really am not.
I think she looks beautiful. Everybody in the chat, give me a yes in the chat if you think Alicia looks beautiful in that picture. That's our wedding picture. We got married.
We have a lot of wedding pictures.
She up here hating.
There's better ones.
How you gonna be hating on your own picture?
I'm not hating. I just, Boyce.
You can't hate on your own picture.
Feeding into my stuff.
You look too good. You're gorgeous, baby. You're beautiful. So anyway, how's everybody doing today? Hey, DDS and TC and Glenn, good to see you. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear us okay. Let us know you can hear us okay. Also, shout out the city that you're from. Hey, Donald. I had an uncle, Donald, and we were very close, and he passed in 2012. So shout out Nashe to Uncle Donald. So how's everybody feeling today? Are you having a good day? Is your life good? Are you happy? I hope that you're happy today. And today we decided to have this pillow talk conversation about the high cost of babyhood, the cost of having kids. I just read this article. I read sometimes, and I saw this article in the Wall Street Journal where they were literally saying that it costs $300,000 to raise a baby. That literally the cost of kids has just gotten crazy. It's higher than it was before. It was already high, but now I guess it's super high. And according to the Wall Street Journal, they're claiming that inflation plays a part in this, that literally the cost of everything has gone up. Everything that you can think of when it comes to raising kids has gone up in price, from the cost of not just things like baby formula and stuff like that, but food and toys and books and everything else. And that's a big deal. What did you think, Dr. Alicia, when you saw this?
Yeah, I got 3 children, and I feel like I'm out of $1 million. And that's probably true. This is the week they land this article on us on back to school week.
It's almost like
I spent everything. I emptied these kids didn't rob me, emptied my pockets.
I know they're like little bank robbers.
Emptied my pockets for shoes and backpacks and
oh my gosh,
school supplies and all this stuff. They gotta be fly.
Kids are so terrible. Oh my gosh. Can we sell them?
Who's buying kids?
How much will babies go for in this market? Ooh, look at that feedback. That's crazy. There we go. That's better. Okay. No more feedback. Yeah. So what do y'all think? I mean, how many of y'all were surprised by this? Were you surprised to find out that the cost of raising kids are so high? Or, I remember reading that it was $250,000 before. And I used to, talk to guys and kind of say, hey, when you have kids, just know that, if you have like 4 kids or something like that, you're literally signing up for a student loan that's $1 million. Like you're literally committing yourself to $1 million debt. And the big question is, is that something that you want to do? And I think a lot of young people don't think about that. I think that, they're thinking about getting the booty and everything else. And
Wait,
like,
hold on. Wait. For some reason, I feel like I have to test a lot of your assumptions and like
okay,
challenge your assumptions.
okay, go ahead and challenge my
So you're
assumption.
coming from,
Challenge me.
I'm not challenging, I'm just trying to get an understanding. It's like you're coming from a perspective that young people are irresponsible. And I'm not certain
Yes.
about that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Why is that a bad assumption? I'm not saying all of them are irresponsible.
Yeah, that's an assumption. So like, everybody in my circle when I was young in my early 20s and all of that, like we were like on it. Like we were responsible. We were like in college. We were doing our thing. We were too busy to have kids. We were like, we got time to have no children. We're trying to get our stuff on. We're trying to get our education on. Like we were ambitious and that we had dreams. Like I wanted to be a therapist. I had another friend that wanted to be a school teacher. I had a lot of school teacher friends when I was in college. They were in education. They were doing their thing, and they did their thing. And I think that the assumption. I mean, yeah, I didn't know everything. I was wet behind the ears, but I was making good decisions that impacted my future in a way that was really positive. So I think what you're saying is that there are segments of youth who for whatever reason didn't get the guidance that they needed, didn't get the love that they needed, and so they seek it everywhere else in a way that's unhealthy.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking.
So I need to understand, are you that doesn't sound like you're technically disagreeing with me though.
No, I'm not.
It sounds like you're agreeing with that because I don't. So
why is there feedback?
So what I'm hearing here is from your statement is that okay, so a lot of your friends were not irresponsible, but I'm gonna ask the audience. Let me ask the audience real quick. When you were 20, would you say that most of your friends back when you were 20 were super responsible and did everything right? Or would you say that at least half of them were, just dumbasses, like literally just making like really bad choices that they were going to regret later, not making the best decisions?
Oh my God.
Seriously, like do you think that there were people back in your life at that time that were just not making good decisions? I don't know. Maybe I think that with yourself, I think that you were smart. You made good choices, but I see a lot of people that get to 35 years old and they regret at least 30 or 40% of everything they did in their 20s, including who they dated, the what they did educationally, what they did in terms of wealth and money. I don't really see, the average 20-year-old making like these stellar decisions, particularly when it comes to something like sex.
Okay. So the thing that's interesting, I mean, I guess all of us have regrets to some extent, right? But the thing is that birds of a feather flock together. So the type of person that I was, or the type of person that I've seen other people be, even today, youth today, I mean, there are a lot of young people who got their stuff together. They're maybe making a mistake, but they're able to look back on it. They're able to say, okay, that didn't work. So let me learn from that so I don't repeat that. And they don't repeat it. So there are a lot of young people who are feeling their way out, but they have such a great foundation for who they are, where they can minimize growing up, getting older, and being very regretful about some of the past mistakes. But I don't think we should put a lot of I don't like negativity on young people to say that's ageism, Boyce.
Wait, hold on. You think that's ageism?
Yeah, ageism says just because because of your age, you're not capable or you're less than.
I don't agree with that.
Oh,
Sorry, I don't think that's ageism. I think that's OGism. OGism to me means that my job as an OG is to come in and help young people to avoid the dumb things that me and many of my friends did in our 20s. I think that you can say, yeah, like that's not very smart. And I'm telling you, I think that when it comes to sex is God's little dirty little trick that he plays on us, because you need sex in order to reproduce. We know this, but y'all know as well as I do that there's a whole lot of people out here that are laying down and getting down and dirty with people that they shouldn't be sleeping with. And next thing you know, you've got this $300,000 liability, if you want to call it that. And then maybe you have multiple, like you have 5 kids. Think about this, everybody. 5 kids means you owe $1.5 million in you're $1.5 million in debt when you have 5 children. If you have 5 children with, say, 3 different men or 3 different women, you owe $1.5 million. How do you expect to be able to build wealth when you're starting your life in your 20s and you're $1.5 million in debt?
Okay, so you're speaking to people in their 20s who have 5 children. You're speaking to
or 2 or 3, right? Because it's $300,000 per child, according to the Wall Street Journal. So you're in debt at that point. You owe hundreds of thousands of dollars. You just don't see it. And I believe that the thing that causes people to end up in that tough situation is because sex is very tempting. People think about sleeping. They don't do Planned Parenthood. They don't do Planned Parenthood. They think of, many of us think about sleeping with other people without even considering the fact that you might be playing with fire. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so you're speaking to people who had children. Are you saying, are these married individuals, or they had children out of wedlock? What are you saying?
I'm talking about anybody who has done something that they regret financially. Like, so if you are if you're a baby's mama who's struggling financially, or if you are a single mom who's struggling financially, I would wonder if you thought through the fact that you had a child with this person. If you are a single father who is upset because the child support court is garnishing your check, what caused you to make that decision? I believe in foresight. I believe in thinking things through.
So you want people to have a crystal ball?
Not a crystal ball.
You want people to be like, I need to be able to
not a crystal ball.
Just this relationship.
Not a crystal ball. Just don't be thinking with your balls.
Okay.
That's what I think. I think just.
Well, men, you're talking about men are just thinking.
Don't go thinking with your balls. Like let your, don't let your balls replace your brains. And I think, because I see a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys who, who lay down with women and they're just looking at the size of her booty, or they're looking at how good the sex is. And then when there's a baby, they're kind of devastated by that financially.
Well, the thing is, what you're doing is that there are men, and maybe this is a problem. There are men who objectify women, because the statement that you just said is very objectifying. It's like men who just sit down, they don't care about the person. They don't care about the lady as a person. They don't care about a relationship. They don't care about a future with this person. You're saying that they're just looking at a body part that's objectifying women. So they're looking at this body part, and that's going to be enough to lay down with them. And you don't even know you're having a baby with somebody you don't know well. Is that what you're saying? I'm just trying to paraphrase what you're trying to say in a way.
I think you made a great point. That was a great point, and that is well heard, and that is received.
So that's a problem with objectifying.
I'm gonna yeah, it is. And
that's terrible. That's
right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Am I allowed to speak now?
Whose turn is it?
Go ahead. Continue your point.
That is an awful thing, and it tells me that it tells me a lot of things, but it just tells me, and even for women, what do you think women are doing? Women are just like, oh, he looks good, or he's got a certain physique, and I don't really care about him as a person. I don't care about his mind. I don't care about if he's funny, if he has a future in his life. I don't care if he's a go-getter. I just want this man right now. Is that what you're saying? That people aren't able to think things through, and they just give in to the lust, and they're not mindful in how they approach or what they do with their bodies. They're giving their bodies to somebody they don't know very well, and they're not mindful in those decisions.
Okay.
I'm just listening to you.
Right. I was waiting for you to finish so I could respond. I believe that men, when we're not always focused, we can really be horny little, we can become horny little dogs. I believe that as men, I believe our penises get us in trouble. And it doesn't mean that you can't control that. I've always stated that I encourage guys to understand that sexual discipline is an important part of success and wealth and everything else. It's very hard to become successful and wealthy if you're chasing around every pretty girl that runs by you. But I know guys that don't have a lot of sexual discipline, and I don't know if they're encouraged to do that. Does it hit the point of objectification? I don't know. I mean, maybe, you might like her assets, but you might like her personality too. You might think she's fun and funny, but you're staring at her booty when she walks away. And does that make you a bad person? I don't think that makes you a bad person. I think that when you can't look at the long game, like as a man, I'll speak for me as a man and other men like me. I believe that you have to value your seed, and you have to think carefully about where you plant your seed. And so I would encourage guys to kind of think that through. Now, same thing is true with women. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Everybody give me a yes or no if you've seen scenarios, or maybe you've been in that example where a woman was allowing a man into her bedroom and he shouldn't have been there. This man was a dirty dog. She knew it. She knew that
dirty dog.
I'm going to use the term dirty dog. You'll probably use a more clinical term because you're a therapist and you should do that. But I'm going to say dirty dog. When I saw Sierra dating a guy like Future, I'm like, yeah, Future's a dirty dog, because that's what he's famous for. He's known like people like, yeah, he got 8 babies, mama. That's the coolest thing in the world, right? Or whatever, however many he's got.
No.
Well, I think the world is backward like that. Like, I think that when people, especially younger women, are attracted to the bad boys and all that, they like all that dysfunctional behavior, and they don't think about what this is going to mean for my children. What's this going to mean when I'm taking care of this baby by myself with no help? I've just seen, in my years, a lot of moms that are good people, good mothers, and getting zero help from the father. And I have to admit, I am in that camp of people that says, did you think about what kind of father this man would be when you let him have access to your womb? Do you value yourself? Did you value your womb enough to say, I'm going to protect this because this is where my babies are going to come from. I'm not letting any guy come in here that isn't proving to me beyond a reasonable doubt that he's going to be a good father. But then again, it's easier said than done, because I think sex is inherently a highly irrational process. Like, it's emotional and it's physical, and you start to feel good. And it's like, I feel like you're really on dope, with literally dopamine, right? The pleasure centers and all. You could talk about that. Like, I feel like that is what causes us to just make these irrational short-term decisions. That's
okay. So in your world, because you were talking about your world. So in your world, women just walk around and get misled by men.
I didn't say women. I didn't say I don't want to generalize.
Okay. All right. I was just
I'm not generalizing. I will. The only extent to which I'll generalize is that I think sex can become a dirty trick for all of us, men and women.
So you see sex as a dirty trick?
To some, it can be, yeah. Okay. I think it's this very powerful thing, right? Think about this, right? When you have sex with somebody, you're creating a human life. There's nothing more important on this earth that I can think of that you can do other than create a person. So sex is really powerful. Sex is important. All of us, in fact, give me a yes in the chat. Everybody answer this question for me. Answer this question. How many of y'all are here in this chat today because somebody had sex? How many of y'all can think of 2 people who had sex that caused you to be in this chat? Give me a yes. So we are all products of sex.
I don't know if sex is a dirty trick, though. I'm not certain that I see it that way. Ahead. But I'm just interested in the fact that you see it that way.
Yeah, I see it as like, because it tempts you. It's tempting. Like you kind of, you're like, you start feeling a certain kind of way, and you're like, ooh, I want to do it, but then I know I shouldn't. But you're thinking about maybe the pleasure you're gonna have. Like, am I crazy? Am I the only one who thinks sex is awesome?
No, I'm not disagreeing.
I like having sex with you.
Understand.
Oh, I would have had sex with you the first day I met you. Seriously,
okay, but you didn't know me.
It didn't matter.
Okay, but that's the thing. Like, you didn't know me on the very first day that we met. And when you were talking about how youth make these decisions, were you including yourself in that?
Yeah, I think that men and women are different.
To just do.
I felt I was in love with you when I saw your beautiful smile, and then I saw your curves. Oh yeah, I wouldn't have married you. Because I didn't know you. But yeah, if you'd been like, hey, let's go back to my dorm and get to know each other, I'd have been like, okay. And I don't think that makes me weird or crazy. I think,
never said that. I didn't put a value on your thoughts.
Yeah,
I just wanted to know what they are.
I mean, would it have been the smartest thing in the world to do? No, it wouldn't. That's why I say sex can be like a dirty trick.
Yeah, I think like, it's part of our when you talk about culture, it's part of our culture that we have to be in this immediate gratification stage, that everything has
Mm,
to be um ooh, you have to just give in to lust all the time. And I was too busy. I'm too busy studying.
okay.
I'm in the library. I'm too busy studying to be thinking about that at that moment, you know? And and I didn't see a lot of eligible men. I didn't see a lot of men when I was in college, but that was my experience.
Mm.
No one on that campus tried to talk to me. I don't know
I know.
why. I never dated anybody
I
really
think. Well, I have a theory on that.
in college. I just didn't. And
Well, by the way, I want to clap for you having discipline.
I wasn't
I noticed
disciplined.
your
I just
discipline in college. I noticed that you were very focused, and that's one of the things I loved about you. Is I I I dated a lady in college that wasn't focused. She didn't want to make good grades. She was lazy and she wasn't that smart.
So how did you make that decision to date somebody like that?
Because I
I'm
was not
just
because I was
curious.
20 and I wasn't that smart.
Yeah, but
And she had a nice booty, and that's how
yeah,
I was
see,
thinking back then. Right. That's just what you
that's a
do. But
thing.
that's what happens when you're young. You just make you don't
Okay.
you're not able to process things. That's why the OGs are important. That's why talking to your father is important. Like when I went to Syracuse University, one of the things my father told me when I went to Syracuse was he said, you're going to be a professor. You're going to be making a lot of money. Women are going to be attracted to you. But he literally said, and cover your ears. I'm about to use a cuss word because I'm going to quote him exactly. He said, don't fuck nothing on that campus.
Okay. So
And he was saying, don't mess with a student, don't sleep with any faculty members, don't sleep with anybody on the administration, because they will, the HR people will come get you for that. And I didn't. So that to me was an example of how mentorship from my father about sexual discipline was really important, because I had a fellow faculty member. His name was Adam Banks, and he slept with a student while he was allegedly he slept with a student while he was on campus, and they made a big deal out of it. And right when he was going up for tenure, they had him on. I saw him on the local news being charged with sexual misconduct or something, and there was no proof. It was just an accusation. But still, I remember when I saw that, I started thinking about my father's advice. Like, just don't even put yourself in that situation where someone can tell that kind of a lie on you.
okay. So what you're saying is that your father told you that it's danger on campus. So your father instilled in you that that you have to look at your surroundings in a way where you are like in a battlefield, and
Yeah,
where you can't trust anybody.
it's not
So
about not trusting anybody.
or
My father, but I will say you're right. My father is a soldier. He was in Vietnam. He's from the streets. He's had to kill people. So he probably would be on the paranoid side. He was a cop for 25 years. He loves Godfather movies. He loves, like Robert De Niro and stuff like that. Like he does think in that kind of way. And I personally think that it was beneficial for me because I have a unique experience in America as a black man.
Okay.
You're looking at left and right where black men were, when especially in the 90s, I saw black men going to prison for 50, 60 years who were my age. I saw black men getting murdered by other black men. I saw black men being killed by the cops. So why wouldn't I think as a black man that I am at war and that I have to defend myself,
Okay. So
at every
seeing
available
seeing
opportunity?
seeing things as a possible threat and having your surround. I mean, I don't know. I think it's like exhausting walking around the world like that. Just
Mm.
seeing the world in a way where, okay, is this person out to get me? Is this person threatening me? Is this person out to use me? Is this and it's like I think it's just so important to just develop really genuine relationships with people. And I've seen faculty members fall in love on campus and get
Mm-hmm.
married to each other and live a great life. I mean, I've seen that, and it didn't turn out in this horrible situation. So, but yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, there's a way to go about it when you have, because everybody on campus is an adult, right? Everybody is 18 and older. Everybody is an adult, and I get the power differential and all of that that makes it sort of wonky, but there's steps, there's things you can do if you fall in love on campus. I mean, lots of faculty spend many hours, 12 hours a day sometimes on campus. So it makes sense that you develop relationships and you start having feelings for each other. And there's ways where you can go to HR, and there's some possible things, but the biggest thing is to trust yourself. Trust yourself in the type of your ability to make sound choices, that everything is not a threat to you.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Okay. By the way, everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm a finance PhD. My wife is a doctorate in social work and a full professor. Also, she is a licensed therapist and a certified clinical trauma professional. So we like to get together on Pillow Talk and have the kinds of conversations that two professors would have against their pillows. So if you could do us a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share. Make sure you subscribe. And also, if you go to boyceandalicia.com, you can get a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking. And if you want to, you can join Alicia's database of Black singles that she's putting together to match make people. And also, you can get a lot of really great information, particularly in the areas of love and money. We love to send things out. So let me just kind of I hear that, right? I hear that. And I think that one of the things that we forget is that I think the rules are just different when you're a Black man. I don't think that, and I talked about this a lot in my book, What If George Bush Were a Black Man? White boys can get away with stuff that Black dudes can't typically get away with. I feel like as a Black man, I understood early, and this really served me well. Yeah, was it exhausting? Of course. Yeah, being Black can be exhausting, but it served me really well to have my parents let me know, like, you ain't white. You can't do what the white guys do. So maybe there are these white professors that can go and sleep with people on the campus, sleep with students, and fall in love with other faculty. I didn't want to do all of that. I felt like I had to be careful. And I can think of friends. Like, I had a friend one time who went to college, and he was Black, and he thought he was white. And he well, I would say that. I'm not gonna say that in a cynical way, but he joined a white fraternity, and he did what the white kids did. He would go get drunk every weekend. He started using all kinds of crazy drugs, and he ended up in jail. And he ended up becoming a drug addict. And a lot of his friends in his frat, they just had their college years, and then they moved on, and now they all got these nice corporate jobs, and they're living in the suburbs. He's still a drug addict. He's still, and I'm not saying that this is definitely going to happen to every Black man. I'm just saying that I think that just as a Black man, I've always known that the rules were different. If I'm in white society, I can't just do what a white man or what a white woman would do. Studies show that Black men are more likely to be incarcerated than white women and white men, even when they commit the same crimes, right? So, for example, one good example I'll throw in there, and then I'll let you respond to that, is when I was at Syracuse, those kids used to use all kinds of drugs. I mean, drugs I'd never heard of. It was crazy. It was like a cesspool of alcohol and drugs on their campus. And I never once did I see the feds or the cops come in and raid any of those dorms and send any of those kids to prison for 50 years. But I did see Black men I know who, dealt a little bit of crack in the 1990s, who are still locked up to this day. So I don't know about if everybody else agrees, but I personally think that being Black means you do have to be careful. And yeah, you got to be a little more skeptical and cynical, and because if you don't, you get caught slipping, and then next thing you know, you're done, you're gone. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's too bad that young people at a certain age, when you're in college or whatever, you experiment with drugs. A lot of young people do experiment with drugs, and um sometimes it's sort of like the natural rite of passage is to kind of experiment. And it's unfortunate because in that scenario that you just laid out, it resulted in drug addicts. It resulted in, and being less than ambitious, and not being able to graduate and achieve your goals. And I think that's some of the tricky things about college, and even just being young and not having a sort of direction. And so I think, yeah, you make a really good point about decisions that you make early on can have detrimental effects on your life later on. And there are a lot of people I see in my office who sit and talk about, I work with individuals who sit and talk about, I did this when I was younger, and I feel awful about it. And the key to that is to process how you were feeling at the time. What happened? How were you feeling at the time that you just made these decisions that turned out to be really awful? And a lot of the times, I find that a lot of people are looking for love. They're looking for love. They're looking for acceptance. They're looking for, somebody to show them things. They're looking for all of these that got them off of their goals. as a young person, a lot of people are, sad and depressed and have a lot of anxiety. All those things get in the way with you making really great decisions. But the key to that is, just because you have those regrets and you make decisions, it's not over for you. Always come back from it with better and brighter and wiser.
Well, I definitely, will clap for the idea of being wiser. I think that is the goal for everybody, right? I think that your goal is to grow, from your experiences and become a smarter person. Like, I think my goal in life has always been to figure out life, because I
Mhm.
figured that if I figured life out early, I could I can minimize my regret. Jeff Bezos actually was one of the first people I saw that introduced me to that idea of regret minimization. And it reminded me of another technique we used to learn in mathematics back when I used to teach math at the University of Kentucky. And it was called dynamic optimization. And all dynamic optimization basically means is that you, instead of thinking about just your next move or in playing checkers, you really want to play chess. A chess master. I'm not great at chess, but from what I understand, to be really good at chess, you got to think about the end in mind. You got to think about what's the final goal, like where am I trying to get to? And dynamic optimization or regret minimization, which Jeff Bezos talks about, is basically saying, looking at your life as if you're 90 years old and looking back on your life, and basically looking back and saying, how do I minimize the number of regrets I have? Because I'm going to have regrets, and and regrets are a pain in the butt. They say if the cost of winning is too high, then wait till you get the bill for regret. Regret is the thing that will keep you up at night. And so, with that regret minimization framework, my thought was, the more I understand life, the better choices I can make while I'm young, so that when I get older, I'm not going to look back on my life and say, dang, I should have done this, should have done that, shouldn't have did this, shouldn't have did that. And I think it's worked so far. I know right now, when I look at my life, I'm really happy with 90% of the choices I made. There's a couple areas where I'm like, okay, I could have done that different. But for the most part, I used to see that. I used to see, when I grew up, I used to know a lot of OGs and older guys who would always be like, man, don't be doing what I did. They be sitting there with a blunt and a beer and a cigarette in one hand and a can of beer in the other, talking about don't be like me, don't be stupid like I was. And I didn't want to be that guy. I don't want to be 50 years old telling some young guy don't do what I did. I wanted to be the guy who says, here's what I did and here's what worked. And I think that when you talk about things like Planned Parenthood and the story of the cost of raising a child literally costing the same as or as much as buying a house, I think that that's probably one of the most important decisions you make, who you choose to create life with. I mean, that's one of those decisions that just stays with you forever. And if you do it wrong, it becomes really hard to find your happiness and peace. It becomes really hard to build wealth in that situation, because ideally, the people you procreate with should be helping you build wealth. They should be helping you succeed. They should be helping you live your best life. But they can also be the people that can make it hard for you to live your best life.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it costs $300,000 to raise a baby, it don't cost you nothing to raise that baby with love and acceptance, so that when they get older, they don't make a whole bunch of mistakes in their life. It don't cost you nothing to stop what you're doing and pick that baby up when it's crying, so that that baby can trust. The baby don't turn around with trust issues because they were crying and they were hungry and they needed somebody to rock them to sleep. They needed somebody to put clothes on their back and feed them. They needed somebody to do very basic things for them, and it wasn't done. When they get home from school, they needed somebody to talk to them about all the things that happened in their day. They needed somebody who was um, available for them when they needed them. They needed somebody to be empathetic to them and their issues that they were going through. And they needed to be somebody responsive to them when they needed something. It don't cost you nothing to do that. And if you're able to put just those three things into a child, they will grow up and you won't have to worry about all of these awful decisions that youth tend to make, because they're guided by, they didn't live in a house full of love and acceptance, and they go out in the world with hurt and pain in their hearts. And those are the kind of people that will sit out and make terrible choices about sex, because they don't love their bodies. They don't love who they are, because that love was never poured into them as a child. That don't cost you anything.
Mm. Okay.
It's free.
So,
It's
so,
free. It's
so
free to love your children.
So I'm gonna ask you this question. So, I mean, are you saying that if a child is loved and nurtured in their household, that they won't be tempted to make bad decisions when it comes to sex?
Minimize.
That they won't. Oh, they
You're
minimize.
talking
Okay.
about
So
regret
you so
minimization. And regret minimization starts with when that child is born. Are you going to feed anger and pain and abuse, and you're going to just hit them and not listen to them and not tune into their needs and what they want? Are you going to have a child that doesn't feel valued as a person, and they walk around just in need for love, looking for love in all the wrong places because they never got it in their house? Those are going to be the people that go out. They don't think that they like, oh, I've always wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer, but I've been told all my life that I'm stupid. So there's no way that can be for me. When you're all 100% capable of being any and everything, you're limitless. All of us are limitless in what we can do. The problem is that we got people who we looked up to, people who we thought should care for us as a child, who told us we were nothing. And those are the youth that make awful decisions. The youth you were talking about, those are the youth that make terrible decisions compared to those who came from a household of love and acceptance, discipline. Of course, we always need to discipline our children, but they came from those situations. Those are the people that are going to have a whole bunch of regrets.
Okay. I like what you said. I think that that's a good point. I think that, so you're saying that loving your kids is a good way to help them make good decisions later, so they don't end up having $300,000 babies splattered all over the country.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I guarantee you, Future, if I had him in my office, I'd love to have him in my office, by the way. If I had him in my office and I did a history on him, I guarantee you there's a history of stuff. Nick Cannon, all of them who believe that that is manhood. That is not manhood, to go around and have a bunch of babies by all these different women and think that that's manhood, and think that those kids are going to grow up whole.
Okay.
Knowing that their father was there for them. You can't possibly be there for them when you got 8 kids in 8 different households.
Okay, so I got a question. You ready?
Yes.
You said a lot about what's wrong with Future, and I don't disagree with you. And by the way, the rapper Future is who we're talking about. His name is actually Navadius Demun Wilburn. I would have just I would have changed my name too. Yeah, we're gonna just call him Future.
It's a beautiful name. Future, having a name called Future is awesome.
Right. So let me ask you a question.
Got to live up to it.
Okay, so Future, who had a lot of kids, you know, he's known for his music and his many millions of children, apparently.
Have you heard his music?
It's really
awesome.
Well, it's not bad.
Music
I mean, I'm not a mumble rap guy though. I think mumble rap is a reflection of the fact that our school system is garbage, and that a lot of people, mumble rap sounds good if you are uneducated and on drugs. Like if you high and you can't read, or you don't want to enunciate your words anyway, I think that's where mumble rap sounds really great. But you know, so I admit I'm a fan of lyricism. You know, I'll sit and listen to a Kendrick Lamar because Kendrick is saying things that challenge my mind. Right. He is an artist in that regard. It's Future. I'm not gonna say he's not an artist, but I'll just say it's not my style. But yeah, he's the father of 8 kids, each with different women. So he went 8 for 8. He went 8 for 8. Wow, that's pretty. Hit the bullseye on that. So Future has 8 kids with 8 women. He adopted the son of one of his mothers of his daughter. In October 2013, he was engaged to Sierra, who's the mother of one of his sons. Let's see here. He's been sued by some women claiming emotional and behavioral issues and abuse.
Yeah, so that tells you there's something, he's struggling with things.
Yeah.
And
okay.
It would be not, it would be so beautiful for Future to turn it around. Is not, his future still looks bright to me. Be great for him to turn that around and really.
Future has a bright future.
He does have it. It's bright anyway because he's successful in what he does. But I'm wondering how successful he is in his personal life. I'm sure it's very chaotic. I'm sure he's got a lot of content to rap about. Just based on his life. But it would be nice. I would love to see all these individuals who are public, who make less than ideal decisions to turn their life around. They probably won't be as successful because we've talked about the music industry and how they promote all of these negative stereotypes. But if he turned himself around, he would be a great beacon for a lot of individuals like him to turn himself around. I think, it would be wonderful inspiration if he were to get in touch with himself and his music. Actually, honestly, I did listen to, I judge before I listen sometimes. So I did, I have teenagers in the house and they like Future or whatever. And so I listened to his songs. They're really not that bad. I mean, well, sometimes he has something really good to say in his songs. And then the next verse would be something really ratchet. So you have to kind of, you're like, oh, he done messed it up in the second verse. But, there's something there for him. There's something in that. He's talented, I think.
Well, I'm not going to say he's not talented. And I think that one of the things we got to think about as a people is we have to get past this idea of feeling that because somebody's talented, that makes them automatically a successful Black person, or that we should applaud the talent and ignore everything else. Like, I think that when you look at the way hip hop influences the thinking of so many young people, I see young people out here, they get the same tattoos as rappers. They speak the way the rappers speak. They dress the way the rappers dress. And then the music, if you listen to the music, it's promoting drug use and criminality and bad choice, disrespect for women, bad financial choices. And so it shouldn't surprise you that so many Black Americans are failing. And in fact, I saw an interesting video. My friend Raheem Shabazz, who lives in Atlanta, who made a documentary called Elementary Genocide, shared a video where there was a Nigerian woman who said that, she claimed that every Nigerian family, now this obviously isn't every family, of course, but she said, in her view, she said every Nigerian family has a talk with their kids before they come to America. And they tell them, stay away from Black Americans. Stay away from Black Americans. All that's going to happen is a Black American man will get you pregnant and abandon the baby. They get wrapped up in drugs. They get wrapped up in all this negativity and this terrible stuff. And it's going to get you killed or get you arrested or ruin your life. Now, obviously.
What's so funny is that. No, go ahead, finish your point. But I got
right, and I agree. It's highly, it's a horribly invalid thing to say, because it's almost like saying don't talk to Nigerians because they'll scam you out of your money, right?
Right, which is that same thing.
Right, because so every community is plagued by its stereotypes. So obviously that stereotype is not appropriate. But what I am saying is that I think that as African American people, we have to confront the dominant sides of our culture that are not so healthy for us. I think that we have to talk about, when some rapper's doing something ridiculous, I think that we have to have some boundaries on appropriate behavior. That's my 2 cents.
I think that it's so funny you talk about dominant side, and I agree. It's dominant, but it's not as common in reality. It's just what is shown on television that's reality.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
And it's just hilarious. And sometimes, like when I lived in Florida, there was a lot of different types of Black people. And it's hilarious because I was talking to one of my Jamaican friends, and there was a car that rode by.
No.
And it had like a Jamaican flag in it. And there was another car that had I think it had like even a Nigerian flag. And she told me, she said, they put those flags in their car to let everybody know that they're not African American, because you don't know the difference by looking at them. And
what are you serious?
Yeah, that's what she told me.
And I said, that's crazy.
I said, girl, for real? She said, yeah, that's why they do it. But the thing is that we're,
so funny.
And I think that is just awful that people in Africa look down. And I do know some people from Africa who I feel like look down on Black people. And what they don't understand is that we're attached at the hip. Believe it or not, we're all in the same thing. And whereas, remember those commercials that would come on about the African babies with flies and stuff hanging around them and all of that? I honestly, growing up with that, I honestly said, oh my God, I would never want to go to Africa, because it's going to be like a big barren desert. There's no food in Africa.
Right.
No
and we know that that's not true.
That is not true.
That's not true at all. But you're right. I mean, what you're saying, I think that's an important point, in terms of kind of understanding, like we are in this together. And I remember I was in this thing called the PhD Project years ago, this group for aspiring Black PhDs in business. It's a great organization. And I was on the panel, and I think I was a faculty member at the time, if I'm not mistaken, or a graduating doctoral student or something. And there was a Jamaican lady who was talking about something with her program or whatever. And maybe I could have said it different because I was younger at the time. But I basically said, in Jamaica, you had different kinds of people and everybody was black, or most people were black. And you saw people as human beings, like, oh, you're an accountant, you're a plumber, you're whatever. I said, in America, unfortunately, in the eyes of white people, you a nigga. That's what you just like the rest of it. I said it like that.
Ooh, speak on it, Boyce.
Right. Well, what happened was, it was funny. I got so mad because there was this black lady who was there, who was married to a white man, by the way, who goes and snitches to the head of the thing to say, like, this is what he said, and I just want to let you guys know that he's saying these kinds of things. And that was when I was getting in trouble. That was when I was in the process of getting booted out of academia.
Boyce.
Right, but it was true. But now I look back on that statement. True. I think it was accurate. It's like, look, I know you came up in here on your high horse and you came in, like knowing that you were whatever you were back in your own country. But when you come to America, you better choose the right side. You better understand who your friends are and who your friends are not.
Well, I think the mistake that a lot of Africans make when they do come here, because there's a lot of indoctrination in Africa too, to think that whiteness is better. I mean, we all live the whole world is covered in.
That is such an accurate statement.
Whiteness is,
that's an accurate statement.
Yeah, whiteness is better. But the thing is that when you come here to the United States, and I know a lot of Caribbean people and African people that come here, they don't know, but they gonna soon find out. They try to get in academia and try to pretend
you're gonna learn today.
Get buddied up with white people. You will soon find out who you are. They'll be coming right back.
You get that Paul Mooney wake up call, like seriously, Paul Mooney was like, okay, they gonna wake you up. And that's the thing. What's interesting is that when you have people that kind of have that delusion that, okay, I look black, but I'm not really black.
White people don't care.
Right. White people don't care.
And then, same boat.
And then you'll see those same people and they will be like devastated. Like
they looking at you traumatized.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God. Do you know these people did to me? Oh my God. And we're sitting there like, yeah, we've tried to tell you. We tried to warn you. And now, they done dropped the bomb on you. And you're all in shock. And I think just generally speaking, I think that what black people have to strive for, in my opinion, is we want to strive for the representation of our humanity. I think that's what we're fighting for. Our humanity means that, you're going to have some black people doing things that might be a little ratchet. But you also got black people who are scientists. You got black people that are hardworking mothers and fathers. You got black people that wouldn't hurt a fly. You got black people out here that are doing amazing things. And in fact, that's part of what, when we talk about the All Black National Convention and all that, those are the people that I see. Like, you and I will bump into people that follow us all around the country, and they are doing amazing things. And it really frustrates me that these amazing things that these people are doing are not being given the attention that they would receive if they were behaving like a walking stereotype.
Well, the revolution won't be televised.
The revolution will not be televised. In fact, how many of y'all, give me a yes in the chat. Give me a yes in the chat if you're doing something positive, like in your life. If you are raising a good, strong family, give me a yes in the chat. If you're making money, if you're not in dire poverty, give me a yes in the chat. If you are trying to educate yourself on a regular basis, give me a yes in the chat. If you are doing healthy things, eating healthy food, give me a yes in the chat. If you are breaking generational curses, give me a yes in the chat. If you are owning real estate and owning property, give me a yes in the chat. If you're building wealth by investing in the stock market, everybody give me a yes in the chat, because I think that this silent majority, this silent majority needs to be represented. And it really irritates me when they just want to put knuckleheads on TV and be like, oh, this is black culture. This is black culture. What they're doing is they're taking all the black people that are, that are doing great things, and they're saying, no, something's wrong with you. Like, you're not really being black. You actually read books. Black people don't do that. And then you're like, dang, well, I'm reading a book. I want to fit in. So I'm gonna pretend to be dumb so I can fit in with what people have told me is the culture. Y'all got to understand that is propaganda. That's how propaganda works. Propaganda, Judge Joe Brown, who we both love, we met him. I love this man immensely. He tells the best stories. Judge Joe Brown studied under a Russian lady who was an expert on propaganda. And one of the things that he said about propaganda is that one of the goals of propaganda is to make you believe that you are isolated, make you believe that you are the only one. And so part of the reason I had you all do that exercise and put that yes in the chat, if you're doing certain things that are very positive, is because I need you all to know, like, you ain't the only one. You're not the only one out here that's doing good things. There are so many people out here like you. And so part of the reason we do things like the All Black National Convention is we want to draw attention to that. We want to bring you together so you can literally become an army with each other. You can really support each other, have each other's back. So anyway, I'm going to take a little moment to let you guys know to just. And then I know you got a lot to say, babe. I know you got a response to that. So before we get to your response, I want to let everybody know you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. I know I'm the guy who talks too much. And and by the way, Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a couples counselor, and also she's a full professor of social work. If you want to learn more, you can go to boyceandalicia.com. And also that right there is the All Black National Convention. The All Black National Convention is a great event. It is the premier gathering of all Black people who want to change the world. And we created this convention because I wanted to see our people come together and get an opportunity to really support each other and things like that. And so if you want to learn more about the convention, you can actually go to allblacknationalconvention.com. And I'll put the URL on the screen. The convention is going to be October 28th through the 30th in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so if you want to attend the convention, we have a whole children's track. We're going to have speed dating and speed networking. We're going to have panels on everything from crypto to politics to stock market investing to relationships. We're going to have experts. We have billionaire Mike Roberts coming in. We have the former CEO of the Air Jordan brand, Larry Miller, is going to be a special guest. He's going to talk about how he took Michael Jordan's company from $300 million a year to $3 billion a year. These are first-class people, and the requirement for any of them to be invited is they had to be Black first. We have many celebrities and mainstream Negroes out here that want to come to the convention, and we say, look, you got to meet the qualifications. And so, and being on TV is not enough of a qualification. I wanted Larry Miller there because Larry Miller is a good guy. He cares about the community, and he knows some stuff that Black people can benefit from. So that's just one example of the types of people that are going to be there. I guarantee if you come to the All Black National Convention, you will walk away transformed. You will walk away connected. You will walk away elevated. You will walk away full of knowledge and opportunity and possibility. And your kids are going to be ready to take over for the next generation. So if you'd like to learn more about the convention, just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. And also, if you'd like to, if some of you already know about the convention, if you want to be a vendor, you have a Black-owned business, there are plenty of people there that love to buy Black and support Black-owned businesses. You can go to abncvendors.com. That's abncvendors.com. And so write this down too. If you want to get a discounted hotel room at the Sheraton, downtown Sheraton, we stay in classy hotels. We're not going to have you staying in the Motel 6. You can go get a discounted hotel room at abnchotel.com. Our staff has been working very hard on this convention all year round. No corporate sponsors. This is not Black Liberation brought to you by Walmart or Black Freedom. Black Freedom brought to you by McDonald's,
Chase Bank,
or by Chase Bank. Right. This is funded and supported by the community. So that means that we're not afraid to invite people like Rizza Islam, who is going to be at the convention. We're not afraid to invite people like Queen Afua, who blew it up last year. We're not afraid to work with rappers who are trying to do good things in the community, like D1 and Killer Mike and David Banner, who've all come to the convention. We are going wherever the solutions lie. And also, last point I'll make on this is one of the great OGs, Dr. Claude Anderson. We gave him our Lifetime Achievement Award at the last convention, and we at that moment renamed the Lifetime Achievement Award the Dr. Claude Anderson Lifetime Achievement Award, which we're going to give to somebody in our community every year who deserves to be honored and respected. We are tired of our best people being put last and our last people being put first. We ain't going to tolerate that no more. So that's what the convention is all about. So you can go to abnchotel.com to get your discounted hotels, abncvendors.com to get a vending spot or to become a sponsor if you'd like to do that, if you want us to advertise you on this platform. And you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com to learn more about the convention. All right, so my wife has something to say, and I did all the talking. I'm sorry, baby. I just want to apologize publicly for doing all the talking.
Yeah, but it's not going to stop you from doing it. You're going to apologize.
Oh, my God.
You're going to turn around and do the same thing
Dang, you are so correct.
So it's okay.
You're so right. You're
Listen,
so right.
I just want to let you know. I just want to let you know is that I accept you.
You accept me?
Yeah, I accept you.
You love me?
You just a run-on sentence. That's okay for me. That's all right.
That's so funny.
Before I respond, I just want to say I think I don't know. We're getting mixed. I don't know how people feel about the noises. All of the noises that you're making. What is it called? The sound effects.
I think they're kind of cool.
By the way, I think it's so adorable that you are just so into the sound effects.
Oh my God, I'm cheesing like a 10-year-old.
It makes me laugh because you get into it, and it's so funny to me. Anyway, so I just want to say that it's okay. You're okay. You are okay in your sound effects.
Well,
Keep it going.
I love you too. Go ahead, baby. Now you had a lot to say, and I just did all that talking, so I'm gonna be quiet and let you make your point.
The problem is that like I lose the thought. Like if I don't say it immediately, it's just like you just put me on something else.
You made some notes.
I did make some notes, so I think I can articulate what I'm trying to say. Okay. So you mentioned, let me see if I can get it right. You mentioned that there are a lot of Black people who are doing really wonderful things and they're isolated from each other. Okay.
Right.
And the All Black National Convention is our quiet and silent revolution where we all kind of come together because you're not going to get mainstream acknowledgement or even kind of press, whatever. You're not going to get this mainstream thing, which is fine. And I think that that's the whole goal of it, right? Isn't that the purpose of it? Like, I don't think we need to be telling the powers that be what we're doing. I think that we should allow.
That's a good point, by the way.
Yeah.
I like that point. You're right. That G's move in silence, like lasagna.
G's move in silence. And I think that if we want to let me tell you, the best people who can get things done are the Russian intelligence is probably the best in the world, right? From my understanding.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm really thinking that Russians are real good at sleeper agents.
Sleeper agents. Okay.
Oh my goodness. So they're really good at sleeper agents where they have like people who are just going along naturally thinking that I'm agreeing with the status quo. I'm doing everything that you think that I'm doing. You got my body, but you don't have my mind because underneath it, I'm really adhering to this cause. And so maybe our purpose in life is to be like, it is what it is. I'll go to work and do whatever I need to do. Let them think they winning, let the dominant society, I'll just call it the dominant society, think they winning in their agenda, but actually they're not. That's the best way to strategize in terms of getting your needs met, because the problem with, if I should say, the civil rights movement, there are many problems with the civil rights movement. But one of the problems is that they were too vocal. They were like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to march on the street. We're going to do these things. We're going to let you know our plan. When you watch a movie and they lay out the plan, we know it ain't never going to happen.
Oh my God. You're so right. Did anybody ever notice this? Like how on Scooby-Doo, whenever I learned this.
Announce the plan.
I learned this when I was a kid. I picked up on this when I was little. Whenever they would announce the plan.
Here's what we're going to do.
The plan would never work.
It don't ever work, and it doesn't work when you just let everybody know. So this is our slow way of announcing. We're going to announce our plan at the convention.
Okay.
But we ain't going to announce it before then. We ain't going to announce it, before then. At the convention, you don't know what you're going to get.
Well,
you're going to get a plan.
I think that's a really good point that you make. I mean, I like, and that's true. I mean, I think that it's a matter of figuring out. I mean, some of the plan has to be marketed so you can mobilize people, so you can get people to rally behind something. But what you say publicly should not be the same as everything you say privately. And and really, when you go back to what you were just referring to, which I think is a great point. Like I do think about Scooby-Doo, and I do remember that whenever they would talk about the plan, I knew it at 7 years old. I'd be like, okay, it ain't gonna work. And then it's always the plan where they whisper in somebody's ear and they say,
that's the plan that's gonna work.
That's the plan that works, because then they surprise you at the end. And I think that for Black people, we don't want to be the Scooby-Doo. We
whispering right now.
We got to whisper a little more. And I had a guy on the show not too long ago named Mike Roberts. And you and I both know Mike Roberts, and we love him. He has that great party in the Bahamas. I can't wait to go to that party. So Mike is a billionaire, and Mike came onto this channel actually, and a couple of times. And one of the things that he said that I thought was really interesting was he said rich people are loud, wealthy people whisper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Yep.
and if you think about it, you know, a lot of us see the loud rappers on TV, and I think when I listen to Mike Roberts speak, I remember thinking, okay, I get it. When you're wealthy or when you really have a true power plan, you ain't got to scream and holler. You don't want to be out here, you know, like out in the street, you know, out here
That is so
embarrassing yourself,
loud.
blowing up your spot. You just move in silence and you get the job done.
I'm gonna turn the sound down a little bit. It's a little too loud. I love your noises, by the way,
Yeah,
but I do, but it's
yeah.
a little loud.
I
Okay.
know, I know. They're
Yeah,
not. I'm testing them out.
I love it. I,
Well,
I say keep it going. Double down on the noises, on
well,
the
you know
sounds.
what? I think the noise. I like it because it makes it interesting. It gives
It-
me a way to express myself. I'm an artist, you know. But
and I'm
yeah, yeah.
sensitive about my stuff.
So I would say as
Mhm.
Black people, generally speaking, I think that it's very important for us to understand the importance of making a plan. Number one, and then when you make a plan, you ain't got to tell everybody about the plan. And I think everybody listening, same thing is true in your life. You know, sometimes we will make a plan, and because we're not fully convinced that the plan is going to work, we'll start seeking validation from people who are completely incapable of validating the plan, who don't have the skill set to even know if the plan, someone don't have the vision to even see the vision God gave you. I mean, God gave you that vision. That's your vision, but you're trying to convince your mama that it's going to work, and your mama don't get it, so you don't do it because your mother talks you out of it, or your husband, or your whoever. And I would just say that, you know, sometimes when you get that divine vision, that divine plan, you have to keep it. And this is what I do actually. When I have a really big idea that I know most of my friends won't understand, I keep it to myself until I've completed just enough of that project for them to be able to really see the vision. And then when they're like, wow, what is that? That's amazing. How did you do that? I say, oh, this is what I've been thinking about. And this is where I'm going to take this. And then they can see it more clearly than if you're trying to talk them into it. It is very frustrating to talk people into something when they just can't see the vision, or they have another agenda or whatever. So I just got tired of doing that. I do the talking with my actions, you know, and
Mhm.
I think that's what Black people have to do. We have to start talking with our actions instead of waiting for validation, whether it's white people or the Democratic Party or somebody to applaud us. You don't need all of that. Just move.
Yeah, and not only that, I'm just gonna I agree with you 100%, but I'm also gonna say God has a plan for future too. God
Mm.
also has a
Are we
plan for
still
the
we're still
people
talking
who.
about Future, the
Well, I'm
rapper?
saying is that you have put future in this category of not making good decisions and ratchetness or whatever. And
Mm.
I'm saying even though we look at people and we see some of the decisions that they make, and it's not basically the decision that you would make, but I think that they have a plan too that they're carrying out. All of us do.
Well, I'm not gonna say he doesn't have a plan. I mean,
Mhm.
I
It's
mean,
a divine plan, by the way.
but planning
It's a
8 kids,
divine plan.
planning 8 children
Hmm.
is not. I,
Hmm.
I'm not saying that he doesn't have a right to live his life or that he can't do something good. I'm saying that, you know, I see people that look at this and they think that this is an okay set of choices to make, or they or we don't want to talk down on, you know, on unplanned parenthood. Like we want to sort of just act like it's not a big deal and we overlook the error. And I think it's a mistake. I think that there has to be an honest conversation about how children out of wedlock is the quickest way to poverty that there is. The lowest net worth in America is the net worth of a single Black mother with children. And then right there with her is the single Black father with children, because child support courts will rip through your whole entire income. So maybe Future has enough money to pay for those 8 kids that he has or whatever. And I don't know about his situation. I don't care about his situation. What I'm saying is that he's a good template and an example of what not to do if you're really trying to build wealth as a normal human being who's not an internationally known hip hop artist.
Yeah, and I hate to be fatalistic in my thinking. I know sometimes I dip into fatalism.
Mm.
But you know what? I think that maybe one of those eight are going to be the one person that's going to change the world.
They might be. I mean, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my father wasn't there for me, and and it fueled me to do great things, and I see
Mm-hmm.
the world in a
So
certain way.
there's beauty in it all. There's
I think
beauty
there's beauty
even.
in it all, but I really think people need to raise their damn kids. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
that more often than not, splattering your seed all over the country leads to more bad than good, more harm than positive. I mean, because think about this. We're having a whole conversation right now in this country about Planned Parenthood. And I think that if we're going to talk about Planned Parenthood, then cool, let's really plan some parenthood. That means that I'm going to talk to my son or my daughter and say, hey, look, if you're trying to build wealth and become successful, who you mate with is going to be a huge part of that. You mate with the right person, you might hit the jackpot. Great things will happen. Possibilities will emerge that you never had before. Think about it. You and we mate together, and we're doing work together. You make me better. I make you better. We benefit. We buying assets together. We're building, a legacy together, right? But you mate with the wrong person and go in the opposite direction.
Yeah, let me just say something. When in my clinical practice, I've worked with all different types of families, right? I've worked with Black families, I've worked with white families, I've worked with Latino families. For the most part, those are like the group of families that I've worked with, and I do see some trends along racial lines. And one thing can proudly say with the Black families that I've worked with, compared to a lot of the white families, and even to Hispanic families, pretty much, I noticed that the fathers take their responsibility of fatherhood very seriously among the Black families that I've worked with. And when I have conversations with them about that, they say, well, my father wasn't necessarily there for me, and I'm going to make sure I don't do that for my family. Or it was, I hate this awful stereotype about Black fathers abandoning their kids and not taking responsibility. And he's like, you know what? I'm not going to be one of those fathers. I'm going to end this here, and I'm going to take my position as a husband and take my position as a father very seriously. And I would have to say, across the board, the Black fathers and husbands that I work with are holding it down way more than a lot of the white fathers. Just be like, I'm going to
shout
work
out to the Black fathers that are, and I love that, right?
Like, it's beautiful. And I mean, I can't say, I wouldn't make a comment on that, but will say that I'm really, really impressed with the level of commitment that a lot of the Black men in particular are doing. And trend wise, I hear that so much more among the Black families than I hear even among the white families. And then you talk about sexist, some of these, Lord.
Well, you know what? I love it because what's really going on in my view, just from me kind of looking around and being, trying to observe what's happening in the community. I feel like there's an awakening, there's a consciousness about family, and because we're in the rebuilding phase. Yes. We're developing our own Marshall Plan to make up for the destruction of the crack cocaine era, the war on drugs, mass incarceration, all these things that destroyed our families. And you have so many good people, men and women, who are consciously thinking about these things and confronting this. And then on the other side of that, you have, unfortunately, children that are part of the aftermath of that. Like when I watch a show like Love and Hip Hop or whatever, where I see young people just making these crazy relationship decisions that are going to ruin their lives, in my view, if you listen to their stories, a lot of them, it's far, it's more often than not that you'll hear them say, oh, my mama was on crack, or my daddy was in prison. Mm-hmm. Most of them don't have a father. And so, so these challenged, I think, chaotic relationship choices can come from not having the stability and structure that they deserve. And I can't help but sit and wonder, like, what happens to the children? What happens to the community when if that's allowed to become the norm? Like, I feel like we're really in a culture war to some extent, to at least make sure that people know that they have a choice, that your only choice isn't to go out and splatter babies' mamas across the country, or have 8 babies' daddies that are not helping you. You can actually find a good quality husband or a good quality wife, build a stable family, and then build legacy together. Okay.
I have nothing to say to that, but I agree with it.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think that we have said it all, and we've said quite a lot. And so I want to say thank you all for joining us today on Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. As you know, Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist. She's a certified clinical trauma professional. She's also a full professor of social work. If you'd like to learn more about the work she does, she sees couples on a regular basis. She sees individuals on a regular basis. You can feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com and learn more about what she does. Now, those of you that want to go to the All Black National Convention and join us in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through the 30th, it's going to be lit. It's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be very powerful, very black. Nobody's telling us what to say. Nobody's telling us what to do. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. If you'd like to be a vendor or a sponsor, you can, and you have a black-owned business, you want to go make some money. There are plenty of people that want to support you. You can go to abncvendors.com. That's a URL. Last but not least, I'm going to put another URL up. So if you want that other one, write it down. The last one is if you want to get a discounted hotel for the convention, you can go to abnchotel.com. Dr. Alicia is going to do her speed dating this year again, which was a huge hit last time. And we're going to do speed networking. We're also going to have I'm going to do a training on how to invest in the stock market. We're going to talk about stock options. We're going to talk about relationships and politics. We're going to have people like the former CEO of the Air Jordan brand, the chairman of the board, Larry Miller, who's going to talk about how he scaled the Jordan brand from $300 million a year to $3 billion a year. We're going to have billionaire Mike Roberts. We're going to have people like Riza Islam, who's a powerful activist. We're going to have Maj Touré from Black Guns Matter. It's going to be really awesome, and I hope that you can join us. If you are pro-Black, then this is the place for you. And we make no apologies to anybody because we believe that our community is going to win, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to get us there. And we believe that we can do it ourselves. So God bless you, everybody. Thank you all for listening. It was great. And I want to say thank you to my lovely wife for yet another beautiful podcast. So everybody, take care. Please have a wonderful day. And don't forget, you can find this podcast on Spotify also. If you look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify, you can listen to the podcast there as well. And we are out. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Bye.